this is your winning in, the chance to continue through to Sunday.
Yeah, it's crunch time for both players. Focus on the game plan is going to be a strategy here. Take the nerves out of the way. Take those mind games as well out of your head, because this is winning in time. Like you said, it's crunch time. It's either day 2 or sticking to your standings. And we see here Demi shuffling up. Yeah, taking that Gardevoir to the next level, maybe.
Some great results in the last year.
Fantastic.
And that's the thing, we're seeing a lot of these players make a name for themselves and then continue to push themselves to the top. And you see Teddy at Lyon, special event 2017.
Yeah, quite a while ago. Maybe Teddy's come back. He's back with Mew VMAX, taking the tournament by storm and putting himself in a winning position at this regional championships.
We've seen a lot of players returning to the game because, you know, the additional prize money on the line for this event, and also, you know, how much bigger the events are getting. People want to get involved and come along and compete. So this is where we're starting to see a lot of returning faces, people picking up Pokemon for the first time in the last few months. So it's definitely growing in that way, and hopefully these opportunities where you're seeing newer players, I mean Teddy coming back maybe, or having not played as much for a while, you know, these kinds of players are the ones who have set an example. Any of you at home could make it. Yeah,
there's no better time to play the game than now. You know, we have so many decks that are viable to bring to these large tournaments. How do you want to play? Do you want to play Disruption like myself, or do you want to play a bit more aggressive like Mike, or do you want to take the Thinking Man's deck and take Lost Box? You know, it's so versatile at the moment, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you say that as a Snorlax stall player. I don't know if you can say exciting
I'm not having
stuff.
it from you as well. I've had
Let us
it
know
from
in
Alex.
chat if you think Snorlax stall is a fun deck or not.
Chat's on my side. I'll have you. Oh, 100%. 100%. They're on my side.
Well, we don't have Snorlax
I'm
stall
going to disappoint
here.
you.
We don't want to put anyone off who's just tuning in. We don't have Snorlax stall here. We have Mew VMAX versus Gardevoir. And I think these are two of the decks that were in the highest population today, and two decks that I think consistently draw very, very well. So they get their game plan out every time. So what we'll be seeing today, hopefully, is a nice finish to the day. A very clean game where both players get their game plan in action.
Yeah, and here we see the prize cards. Ooh, 2 Mew VMAX for Teddy. Not the ideal prize cards there for him. And here we see not too many prize cards that are going to be detrimental to Demi here. And here we see the start and winning in time, round 9. We start off with Demetris and the Battle VIP Pass. What a start.
Dreamy beginning here, as this is where that first prize check, to check and see what's in the prizes. No Cresselia, no Greninja.
Nope.
Greninja can be useful early on for that discarding of energy and starting to draw before you get your refinement Curlies in play. But on the other side, that first deck check revealing the 2 VMAX will be tough. You know, typically you play the 3 because you only need 2, but it's just in case one gets prized. So when 2 get prized, it really limits your game plan.
The first deck check is so important for a deck like Gardevoir. Like we said earlier, such a heavy evolution package. You're playing the 4/4 Ralts, you're playing for Curlier, you're playing the 2/2 Gardevoir. It's going to be so important for Demi to be keeping up with his prizes. So he, you know, does he have to alter his game plan? Have I prized that one Curlier? Is it going to change my approach in this game? But here we see the second VIP pass coming down for Demi, opting for that Celebrations Mew. Going to be trying to find more item cards to utilize here to start getting set up.
I mean, it doesn't get much better than that.
No.
The double battle VIP pass. You know, typically a lot of people are going second to try and force some decks to be inconsistent on that first turn, but you know, only opting for one basic off the VIP pass, that just shows you how confident that setup is. Just the 3 Ralts and the Mew, happy to go into the next turn with just that board state. Meanwhile, on the other side, I do think, is there any options? There's a Genesect and an Ultra Ball, so it's going to be thin the hand down and really try and draw into your basic Pokemon. What's
going to be really interesting for Teddy here is that he's not going to have any immediate pressure on Demetris, right? So he doesn't play the Fusion Strike system, Fusion Strike energy build like we said earlier. So he's going to be wanting to get set up first and foremost here. You know, get as many of your Genesect down, get the Mew down. You know, start putting yourself towards that game plan, like we said, of Disruption, the Judge, the Mew. And here we see the prize check, just checking. Yeah, Teddy, that is only one Mew VMAX. You're not.
Double check.
You're not double looking there.
unfortunately, it is just the one. And you saw the Oricorio in there.
Yeah.
An interesting card, but for this matchup, it doesn't really affect the numbers too much.
It can come in really clutch in certain matchups. I really like the Oricorio. Sometimes it can be really annoying for your opponent to play around. Sometimes, you know, taking the game by surprise for sure. But here we see the path already in hand for Teddy. It's not going to be too powerful in the earlier turns. It's going to be more in those mid turns when the Gardevoir EX starts to get set up. But really interesting on Demetrius' side that he opts for the 3 Ralts, sorry, because we're used to seeing, if you're going to be playing the Mirage Step Curlier, that you're going to only have 2 Ralts on board, right? And then you're going to be Mirage Stepping for the 3 Ralts. But here, with only 2 bench spaces available to him, he's not going to be able to do that. So he's obviously opting to evolve the Ralts here.
Yeah, interesting. And I think there was 1 Ralts prized, so if you try and go for the full board of Ralts,
yeah,
that's not available on this occasion. But yeah, like you said, like the Mirage, I don't know if there was a Curlier prize. If there was, then it would make sense. But you know, Demi, very familiar with the deck.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
I'm sure he's thinking that if he's going first and he gets a nice wide board state, he might just be able to manually evolve them and not have to worry too much about it.
So here we see the Fusion Strike system. A couple of cards here for Teddy, and the Forest Sealstone coming down. Such an important card in this deck specifically, because of course if you're putting Path down, you are turning off your Genesect Vs. However, you are still able to use that Star Alchemy, but opts to use it immediately. And here we see just a deck check and opting to get the Judge already. Interesting.
Change the game completely.
Yeah.
If Demi can't find what he needs off those 4 cards, that instantly puts Teddy into a position of breaking down that board. And it's so key for Gardevoir to get refinements on board without the Greninja as well, because it's prized. There's no basic draw on that bench. So the Mew will have to be clutch, potentially. And yeah, this Judge could completely change the game.
This Judge is going to be really important, so it's going to be interesting to see what Demi draws here. However, it does have the insurance of that Celebrations Mew, of course, on the bench. Really important to get that down in the earlier turns, just to have it as a kind of just-in-case option if this Judge play was to arise. So just a manual retreatment, and he is going to be able to use that Mysterious Tail ability. But here we see the big 4 cards for Demetrius. Let's see what he has. He has the Iono.
Okay, so there's some stuff to be done.
Yeah, he can still do a lot, but here we see Teddy here. He's going to be looking, and here we see VIP pass, but it's going to be...
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be... Sorry, I thought it was a second turn there. So he plays the VIP pass.
Yeah, just going to be trying to fill out that bench. Does have 1 in hand as well, so we'll be able to...
And that Mew VMAX.
Yeah, we'll be able to get in a good position. Probably just trying to find that energy attachment just to try and get everything set up for next turn.
Yeah, I am jumping ahead of myself. I thought it was the second turn, and here we see the other Battle VIP pass, of course, and like you said, better to play 2, even if you are going to fail the first one. You know, get those cards out of your deck, start thinning, of course. They're not going to be of much use to you, of course, after turn 1. And here we see a Mew and a Genesect. You'd imagine they're going to be coming down
I don't know.
soon.
Does the Oricorio come into this matchup much?
Well, no. Only because Demetrius is going to be hitting in 30s. So negating only 20 damage puts the Mew VMAX to 330, right? Effectively,
okay, yes.
with that Oricorio. However, Demetrius still needed that additional energy to hit the 310, right? So yeah, no, not too effective in this matchup unless you're going to be using the attack, of course. And here we see Teddy drawing up to 6.
I guess it's only the Mew V before it's evolved that it can be effective on, right? The 180.
Yeah, that could come into play. Yeah,
but you don't want to create the 1, 2, 3 prize mapping as well.
No.
So there's other benefits to not putting the Oricorio in play, and you know it's in the deck for certain matches. I think Giratina it's quite good for, right?
It's an easy Scream Tail. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. But talking about this matchup, it's an easy Scream Tail.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Victim, let's say, right?
Yeah, because we haven't seen it for a while. We haven't seen Oricorio featuring in Mew VMAX for a while.
No.
So it's cool to see that being successful here for Teddy.
Yeah, but like you said, effective in those other matchups like the Giratina V-Star. But here we see Demi opting to Iono. Of course, this could have been a bit of a risky play if he was going to be drawing into all those Curlier, but thankfully not. Puts down the level ball there, manually evolves here into the Curlier.
So this is where those 2 bench space, you can manually evolve 1, and then the other 2 can be for refinement Curlier. And then you've just got a Ralts there ready to rare candy into whatever you need.
Yeah, such a strong setup here from Demetrius. Here we see the first refinement of the game for Dimitri, getting rid of the Balvia P-Pass and the Mirage Step coming out.
And this is where the Gardevoir can play it quite slow in this matchup. They only need to take 2 knockouts effectively.
Yeah.
And so they don't need to rush, they just need to get a good stable board state.
This is, I guess, the weakness of just playing the Judge Path variant, right? If you're not playing the Fusion Strike Energy, sorry, you're not going to be utilizing the single prize Meloetta. You're just going to be attacking with that Mew VMAX, which, of course, like you said, is a 3 prizer, right? So effectively, if Demi is able to knock out only 2 Mew VMAXs, that's only 2 turns of attacking.
So you really have to hope those Path Judge turns really stick. But right now, with 3 refinement Curlier in play and a Mew, Celebrations Mew ready, there's going to be so many opportunities to draw for Demi no matter what happens. And this is why we see Gardevoir being one of the best users of Iono. There's so much opportunity to draw out of Iono board state and really get that hand size up.
Yeah, Demi's got such a strong board state right now with 3 refinements out. Going to be drawing a lot of cards next turn for sure. And having the ability to evolve, he may opt to add a little bit of pressure to Teddy by taking some easy prize cards on these 2 prizes. But here we see Teddy with heads on a Cramomatic. Maybe opting, I think I saw a boss there opting for. Maybe taking out one of those refinement Curlier, taking that efficiency off the board from Dimitri.
I mean, that's the game plan, isn't it? Take away all the useful resources for Gardevoir whilst disrupting them as much as possible and hope you earn some turns back so that you can get yourself into a safer place. But the hardest bit now for Demi will be trying to get the Psychic Energy into the discard pile and really trying to build up a big attacker, because at the moment the energy in the discard is very minimal, I believe.
Well, that's the strategy, right? You're going to be discarding those Psychic Energy in order to draw 2 with the refinement, right? That's the game plan. That's the ideal state that you want to be in. But with the lack of Psychic, and I'm guessing they're all going to be in that deck, you're going to have to draw into them or unfortunately use refinements on some other resources to try and get there.
Okay, there we go. Which one are you choosing? I mean, it does matter because there's the one with the routes. So if you go for the one with the routes, that would allow them to get the routes back.
Yeah, of course, as well. Rare candy can sometimes come into play if you're going to try. I'm unsure what I would have picked there. I would have actually picked up one of the Curlier that wasn't evolved. I think forcing Demetrius to use rare candy, I guess, comes into play there. But here we see one of the power tablet come down, and of course Teddy is going to be able to take a knockout with just the Psychic Leap here, if he's able to. Of course, now at 80 damage, 20 damage negated from that double colorless, but forced maybe to play the second power tablet. And here we see the second Fusion Strike system.
Yeah, one of the game plans for Mew, which we saw so wonderfully at EUIC last year, is trying to build up to that 4 power tablet knockout on Gardevoir EX. And that's one of the big challenges of, can you keep those power tablets for the end game where you can knock out that Gardevoir EX, put a path in play, judge them the same turn. I don't know if that kind of combination is the dream, but sometimes you do just have to play them out early to thin your hand down to find exactly what you need.
We've all played against Mew VMAX. We've all got a story about them hitting 4 power tablet. It's not a rare thing, Well,
you can draw with those Genesect.
But Teddy opting to use 2 here. It's going to be interesting to see if, like you said, it comes into play maybe in the later turns where he's staring down a Gardevoir EX. If it's able to attack against these Genesects, which is sometimes also a game plan for Gardevoir. But yeah, like you said, and now the third Fusion Strike system here as well. Drawing up to 6, draws into that Oricorio, unfortunately. And here we see the Mew VMAX able to take this easy knockout on this Curlier.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go for the Psychic Leap or just trust that at this earlier stage it's going to be hard for Demetrius to get enough energy to knock out the Mew VMAX and sort of wait for next turn instead.
Yeah, I mean, he does have Teddy does have 2 Mew on board, so he does have that insurance. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I think the fact that he only has 1 Mew VMAX in the deck, he can't guarantee he's going to draw into that 1.
Will he get the 1 at the bottom of the prizes?
The 2 Mew VMAX in the prize cards. I don't think Teddy picked up one of his prizes there.
I think he did, yeah. I think he just got the Mew VMAX there.
Oh, fantastic.
Maybe. It might have been the Ultra Ball, but it will be the next one if not most likely.
Yeah, for sure. But if he would have Psychic Leaped and gone back into deck, he wouldn't have been able to guarantee that it would have been a draw back into it, right?
I think he did copy Psychic Leap, though, but just without the effect.
Yeah, without the effect. Yeah, that's yeah.
So it's always hard to tell when we're watching the Mew VMAX from here because we don't get to hear what they're saying. Of course, copying an attack off of the bench can be gestured by the hands, but we just got to hope that they're saying exactly what they're copying there.
Yeah, and here we see an effective refinement. Psychic Energy does have the Ultra Ball in hand and 2 Psychic. It's the dream scenario here for Demetrius. And here we see the Mysterious Tail. And now with Teddy on 5 prize cards, all of those sort of tech cards, the Reversal Energy, the Counter Catcher, they're all active, Mike.
All active, and they're going to be mighty effective at getting a knockout. If it's not on that Mew VMAX, can play around it, can gust something up with the Counter Catcher. But we'll see how it works out here. Discarding 2 Psychic with the Ultra Ball, maybe? Or just a Psychic and a Battle VIP pass. But this is where the engine really starts going.
I'd be thoroughly impressed if Demetrius was able to take this knockout in the Mew VMAX, but stranger things have happened on stream, of course. But, you know, it's not going to be a terrible option to be able to take a knockout on one of these Genesects. You know, it's taking efficiency off the board. And, of course, Demetrius can opt to use the Gardevoir EX itself. We don't usually see it attacking. We usually see it just being used for its ability alone. But no, it is an efficient attacker in this scenario.
Perfect numbers into a Genesect.
Yeah, perfect numbers. And not only that, but with Teddy's damage pretty much capped, and especially with using 2 power tablets pretty early on, this Gardevoir EX actually poses such a big threat at such a big HP.
Yeah, some decks will be playing Cleansing Gloves.
Yes.
But I think more people are opting for the Box of Disaster, which is what we're seeing Teddy play here as your Gardevoir counter. But yeah, you sometimes see the Cleansing Gloves to reach the Gardevoir EX knockout, but I think that's not as relevant in this stage. And is that just going to be attacking into the active?
It's going to be attacking into the active. I mean, I can definitely see why he would have opted for this play. He's definitely going to go for the 3-3, right?
Yeah.
If he's already had Counter and Catcher in hand and he's not going to be using that play, I would imagine he's just going to be going for the 2 VMAX rather than a 2-2-2 prize card take.
Yeah, and that puts pressure on Teddy to have to Psychic Leap that damage out of play, which is a low damage output turn. And so it does make things tougher.
And the path to the pig comes down. And the judge as well. Deadly combination, as we all know. And it puts Demi down to 4 cards in hand. But that Psychic Embrace Gardevoir is still there as a threat. But it's whether Teddy can do anything about it coming into this next turn.
And it won't be knocked out this turn.
No.
So it's got the energy needed. So there's definitely another turn of attacks from Demi here. And the other interesting thing here is that Path Judge for Teddy could disrupt themselves because they've used their Forest Seal Stone. They'll have to naturally draw it into a Lost Vacuum. They have thinned their deck down a lot, so it is likely that they'll find one of those Lost Vacuums to help bump their own path. But they have to try and disrupt. They have to put that path in play to win turns back and start to take this game from Demi.
It is a part of their game plan, you know. It's asking the opponent, can you get out of this judge? Can you get out of this disruption? What can you do about this awkward strategy? And here we see the Psychic Leap play coming out here. So negating Demetrius' opportunity to take 3 easy prizes next turn. However, opting to promote the Mew VMAX as well. So it's going to be a really, really interesting turn from Demetrius. But of course, with 2 Refinement Courier and the Shining Arcana, he's off to the races.
And those energy on the Gardevoir, one of them will be locked there. So that makes it a little bit tougher to reach for that big knockout. But at this stage, Reversal Energy is the key card for Demetrius to reach that Shining Arcana range and get the knockout on the Mew VMAX. And if it happens at this stage, this early in the back and forth.
Oh yeah, it'd be devastating for Teddy, for sure.
Exactly. So Teddy really hoping this is a turn 1 back here.
Yeah, and here we see drawing into that Reversal Energy. Like you said, And the Super Rod coming down, getting that Curlier. Not opting for the Screamtail, which is pretty interesting. I guess damage cap at only 160 damage. It's not going to be coming up as an option for Demetris.
Yeah, some people opting for the Luxurious Cape.
Yes, yeah.
A lot of people have found that it's just too hard to get out consistently, so instead opting to have a Zacian as your big hitter.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Luxurious Cape, we were speaking about it before this weekend, I suppose, just opting to take out this Genesect with the counter catcher. And here we are, Demetris taking 2 prizes here against Teddy. But like we were saying, with the Luxurious Cape, it's a really interesting debate, because I think if it's a discussion whether you're taking Zacian or Luxurious Cape, I feel like you're feeling pretty confident about how you're drawing if you're taking Luxurious Cape. With the Zacian, at least you have that insurance, you have the Super Rods to bring it back if you are having to discard it early on. But, you know, some people like that option of a big hitting Gardevoir or a big hitting Screamtail going into a format like this.
It's all about how do you find each of those cards. Do you find Zacian easier than Luxurious Cape? Of course, you have Pokemon Search. Like you said, if you have to discard it early, you can get it back. You've got all of those Fog Crystals, you've got the Ultra Balls. So there's ways to get it into your hand where the Luxurious Cape, if that's the last card in your deck when you need it, sometimes you're going to be drawing and not hitting your way to win the game.
Yeah, for sure. And now we see Demetris on 2 prizes. 1 prize ahead now against Teddy. Can Teddy do anything about this Gardevoir? All Demetris needs now is 2 Gust plays. He's 2 turns away, I suppose, of attacking from being 1 up in this game.
And having to remove his own part of the peak. So that's going to help out the Gardevoir list that wants to try and get rid of that part of the peak at the right moment, but by leaving it in play, forced Teddy to discard his own 1.
I mean, he didn't mind that the path to the peak was in play, right? I mean, he's got the attacker on board. He's okay. He's chilling.
Got plenty of draw.
Plenty of draw support on board, yeah, like you said. So, you know, he may not have minded the path to the peak down. He was actually asking him whether he had the outs to the path to the peak. But here we see Teddy just having a little deck search here. I believe his head's from the Chromatic. Yes, it was. And the power tablet coming down. I guess it's not going to be that relevant now. I suppose it's only relevant when you have all 4 available to you to take that big knockout on the Gardevoir EX, like you said earlier. But yeah, let's see what Teddy can conjure up here going into this next turn.
I mean, this is the final round of the day here. We've had a lot of games. These guys will be feeling the fatigue of it a little bit. And so they're going to be hoping to play as cleanly as possible. And sometimes it's just not in your favor. Sometimes it's just really tough to play against a harder matchup. I think for Mew VMAX can only take 1 knockout at a time, where Gardevoir's biggest weakness is when people can take multiple knockouts. So in this situation, they're reliant so heavy on disruption to be a way through the game. And at this point, none of the disruption Teddy has thrown forward has done anything to throw Demetris' game plan off. So Teddy really needs to start thinking late game here.
Yeah, I mean, Demetris is going to be making it as hard as possible to take for Teddy to take 6 prizes, right? He's going to be throwing up the Gardevoir, Shining Arcana. I know he hasn't yet, but I'm sure he will be soon enough. He's going to be throwing up those single prize attackers, like we said earlier, able to take those easy 2 prizes against the Genesect V, maybe even the Mew VMAX in the later turns. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Teddy's game plan is going into this one. And we see here the retreats, the manual retreat into the Mew VMAX, taking that easy knockout on the Gardevoir. And of course, the Boxer Disaster posing a little bit of a threat to Demetris' game plan. Of course, putting those 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon.
I mean, at this stage as well, having to copy Technoblast there.
Yeah.
To be able to get the knockout. So that Mew VMAX in the active won't be able to attack unless the status is reset through a retreat or a switch.
Yeah, of course. It's asking more questions for Teddy. And usually we see that, you know, Mew VMAX taking these big 2 prize knockouts, not used to taking single prizes. It doesn't like doing that for sure. And here we see the first refinement of Demetris' turn. Psychic Energy, Artisan. And of course, that Psychic Energy hitting the discard pile, as you can imagine, and the Iono and Manaphy straight into hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just the 5 energy there, 150 damage from the Shining Arcana Gardevoir and the Sacred Sword Zacian V, of course.
I mean, if you take the knockout here with the Box of Disaster on that Mew, it would get the return knockout. So you've got to bear in mind, will that affect your prize map? But maybe that would be the optimal route, or maybe just here, attacking with the Gardevoir EX, just leaving it in the active and saying, can you reset? And do you want a Psychic Leap again? Is that worth it for you?
Well, hitting this Mew VMAX will turn off that effect from the Box of Disaster, right? So, it's going to be quite efficient to be able to hit this, negate the Box of Disaster, rendering it essentially useless. But, Demi did have different options there. He was able to take out an easy knockout on the Genesect or the Mew V and putting himself down to 2 prizes, but I suppose his only option didn't have the Gust in hand. Just going to do a simple 190 damage onto that Mew VMAX.
And if they Psychic Leap and just leave 2 prizes in play, that almost plays into a winning route for Demetris here, where he can just go 2-2-2 instead.
It makes it really awkward for Teddy for sure, but unless he was able to maybe evolve the Mew V into a VMAX and put that up, but that doesn't quite help your situation. Here we see Teddy starting his turn. Just a little bit of a deliberation here. Oh yeah, of course, the Oricorio.
Always got to remember the Oricorio.
Always got to remember the Oricorio. The 20 damage could come up.
Lesson in Zeal.
Lesson in Zeal.
Been a while since I heard that.
Yeah, negating the 20 damage from your opponent's attacks. And here we see the Mew VMAX coming down. Going to be really, does he Psychic Leap here? But again, he's going to be wanting to take prizes while he Psychic Leaps, right? So he could Gust up the Mew, take an easy knockout there. I don't believe any Power Tablet are available anymore, so can't knock out any of the Ralts or Curliers. I don't know how Teddy navigates this now.
It's a fascinating back and forth. It's not gone the way that either of them planned to, but of course that's part of the strategy of these top players, is not giving them the easy route to victory. Gardevoir typically just wanting to hit 2 Mew VMAX back to back for 3 prizes each. But without that option, Demetris has had to change his plan, and then consequently now Teddy's thinking, well, what do I have to do here? Because they've started attacking with Gardevoir EX, which isn't typically what you see. Yeah,
it just goes to show how versatile the Gardevoir deck is, right? It can switch up its play. It can switch up its game plan according to what your opponent is playing. And we're seeing that masterclass right here, right now. And Teddy with the Iono in hand already there. And the Path to the Peak coming down as well.
Ooh,
retreating into the full HP Mew VMAX, but that Mew... The damage Mew VMAX is looking pretty tasty for Demetrius for next turn.
Yeah, you've got the counter catcher that could bring it up, or the Scream Tail that we mentioned before could finish it off. So there are ways to navigate that final knockout on the Mew VMAX. But just trying to put as big a Pokemon in the active and asking the questions of, can you find enough Psychic Energy? And of course, by not taking a knockout here, Reversal Energy hasn't been brought into play. And so Demetrius cannot use a Reversal Energy to power up a Shiny Arcana Gardevoir.
Yeah, I think, if Demetrius is able to take a prize here, it's going to be really, really looking well, it's not going to look very good for Teddy, put it that way.
I guess a Zacian attack could come out here, maybe?
Zacian attack could come out. I'm unsure if he's got the required energy in the discard pile. It does require a lot of energy to knock out that Mew VMAX. It's going to require a full, I believe 9 energy. A 9 energy attachment on the Zacian, so not going to be easy. So I think there was only 5 left in the discard pile, but does have 1 in hand. Oh, we see the Zacian coming down, actually. Retreating 2. How many are there?
And I think there's a collapsed in hand, so might be able to get rid of that damage too.
Oh, this is massive.
Oh my goodness, so that all that damage done on the Gardevoir EX has just been removed from play, as well as taking that Path to the Peak off the field.
But hasn't Psychic Leap before using Collapse Stadium? So he's going to be hoping to evolve into another Gardevoir EX to be able to use Psychic Embrace. I can't see where this one is going. Maybe Demetrius is obviously seeing something that we're not, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Maybe has an out to the other Gardevoir EX in hand. It also gets the energy that's needed.
He does. I think he does have Gardevoir EX in hand.
Okay, and then the decision for Teddy here, which one do you remove? You need that Mew VMAX in case the knockout comes through.
Yeah,
okay, going for the Genesect. So the draw has all disappeared for Teddy. Just 1 Genesect remaining.
Here we see the Iono coming down for Demetris. So I think he is able to take the knockout now on this Mew VMAX with the Fog Crystal in hand as well. Able to discard a further Psychic Energy. I don't believe, I think he's actually used, I think actually all Psychic Energy are in the discard pile or either on the board state. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8's there as well. That's going to be a knockout.
Oh, what a way to navigate the play there from Demetris. Yeah. Not only getting the knockout here, but removing all that damage from that God of War EX. Able to take the knockout here on the Mew VMAX, putting him down to 1 prize remaining on his win and in game. And how can Teddy respond now? 1
prize away from taking game 1 in this winning in. Demetrius taking this game by storm, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Teddy can do in the face of this Zacian V. However, looking really awkward, is able to take the 2 prizes quite easily on this Zacian V.
I mean, Teddy,
however, it's the story of what he can do afterwards, right? Because he's not going to be able to knock out the God of War EX, so he's going to be really relying on this disruption package.
It's going to be tough in these final stages, and with so much draw still in play with both the Refinement Curlier in a really stable board state for Demetris, has thinned out his deck beautifully, has got to a stage where there's no liabilities in play. So everything at this stage is asking a lot of Teddy. That collapsed stadium, so key to making this God of War deck fully complete, having that like pseudo healing effect on any of your larger Pokemon like the God of War EX.
Manipulating the prize trade effectively. So see here, Teddy with only 1 Genesect on board, might I add as well. Opting to getting rid of the Genesect with that collapsed stadium. So here we see a second Lost Vacuum come down, opting to Lost Vacuum his own Forest Seal Stone, so he's going to be able to utilize Forest Fusion Strike system as much as possible. Drawing only 3 cards, however, not what you want to see as a Mew player.
Wow. These final moments for Mew are always a tough one. You do have a good endgame with you, of the ability to disrupt, you know, an Iono to 1 with the Path to the Peak. It is an option. But, you know, at this stage, is everything in play needed for Demetris? I mean, the Path plus Iono could be enough.
Yeah, I mean, we all know he has to knock out this Zacian V. But, of course, he does have a damaged Mew VMAX on the board. So it's whether he's able to evolve this full HP Mew V into a Mew VMAX and use that. Or, like you said, is able to somehow disrupt Demetrius, put a path down, play an Iono, play a Judge, and just ask that question. And here we see the Ultra Ball coming down. That deck is really thin. I think it's only 2 or 3 cards remaining. And it's only 4. One of them, Judge, Echoing Horn, sorry. Definitely not Iron Hands. I'm unsure what Teddy can do here, realistically.
Might deck himself out at this point.
He could, yeah. Very much could.
Yeah, I mean,
So no further Genesect. The Genesect is used.
Ooh, just correcting the damage there on the Mew from the God of War attack earlier on. Often happens when you're retreating a Pokemon. There's a lot of dice to carry back.
There's a lot of damage going on.
But
Teddy
this
just
is tough.
Delivering what he can do here.
I mean, if they...
Wondering what that card is. I think it's a boss.
And Glistening Droplet.
I think it's a boss. I mean, you get to see what this card is. It is a boss, okay.
Okay.
So going for the God of War EX.
How much? So there's 160 on that Zacian, which leaves it with 60 hit points remaining. Glistening Droplets could be an option.
Glistening Droplets could be an option.
God of War in the active.
However, I don't think you want to be knocking out that Zacian because now it puts more energy in the discard pile, right?
Yeah, but so the Glistening Droplets won't knock it out. It'll just put it on 10 hit points remaining.
10, yeah.
So this is a way to victory here. There is 1 Psychic in hand. Is there another Psychic in the deck here? There's the Reversal Energy and the attachment there. That's going to be enough.
That's going to be enough here.
The retreat coming through.
Game 1.
What a way to finish it there. Holding on to those energy just in case in those final moments. But a great idea from Teddy. The only way he could win that there was by having something in the active that couldn't retreat. And it was very close in those final moments.
Play to your outs. You know, that's the name of the game for most of our top tier players. It's thinking around the ordinary lines gameplay. You know, what can I do here? What are my options? What are my outs? You know, and what a masterclass there from Demi as well.
Oh, it was beautiful to watch. When you see a
Stunning.
good Gardevoir player and they have these ways to reset the board, take away damage, you know, set up something new, take those big knockouts whilst also using low HP, just everything about it was fantastically done. And even on the other side, Teddy, finding a solution at the end there that could have worked. You know, if that psychic energy that Demetris found was prized, that would have been a few turns of glistening droplets.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess with the Gardevoir, it's a really good showcase there of what options it has available to him, right? We spoke about Screamtail. It wasn't an option maybe at the start, but then towards those end turns, he could have really utilized that, taking the knockout on the Mew VMAX. Obviously not in the position to do so in that game, but it's an option, you know? Gardevoir, so flexible in terms of approach.
Speaking of Screamtail, not the optimal start there for Demetris, but it will be Teddy going first this time, and with the Battle VIP pass, we'll be able to set up nice and wide.
Yeah, here we are, the Battle VIP pass. You can imagine it'll be going for 2 Genesects, roaring through that deck, of course, as we like to see from our Mew VMAX. Have a look at the options there from the prize check. Seeing what options are available to him. How many Mew VMAX have I prized this time? How many Genesect are hiding in those prizes as well? However, here we see the optimal start. 2 Genesect, 2 Mew V, ready for next turn to start adding some pressure.
And this is it. Start that drawing. See if you can get through as much of your deck early on as possible, so that when you judge path to disrupt your opponents, you've got less disruption to yourself. But you've also got to make sure you keep those resources available. You mentioned about the power tablets. You know, once 2 of those were gone, it completely changed what Demetris could do. He could start using that Gardevoir X comfortably in the active. So you've got to hold the resources that are important whilst also getting through the consistency cards as quickly as possible. Yeah,
and this is what I like to see from Mew VMAX, especially when you're going to try to be utilizing that Psychic Leap. You need 3 Mew on board, right? Because when you Psychic Leap 1 away, you definitely need 2 Mew V ready for your next turn. Otherwise, you're leaving yourself vulnerable. If it was to get knocked out, you'd have no attackers on board.
Exactly. A little tip there for anyone at home. Just give it a try.
Tip. I'm full of them. It's fine.
Full of them.
Here we see Demetris starting his turn officially with a Battle VIP pass of his own. And you can imagine there'd be 2 Ralts, maybe even that Mew coming out to play.
We were mentioned at the beginning of the best of 3 that these are 2 of the most consistent decks in the format right now, with both of them having such good draw. You know, the early turn draw for Mew VMAX is what makes it stand out, and then that mid-game draw for Gardevoir is what allows it to get into such a strong position. So consistency is key for these 2 lists. So many great cards in there, making sure that those first turns come out smoothly.
Yeah, we see the first prize check for Demi as well. Just a little deck check. What options are available to me? This time it's not Genesect, it's how many Courier have I prized instead. But thankfully I don't think any were there. But again, benching the 3 Ralts and passing over to Teddy. No Radiant Greninja, no Mew. None of those insurance consistency cards have come down for Demetris, and Teddy putting an energy on that other Mew V on the bench. He's fully ready to start putting some pressure on Demetris' board.
Similar to start to what we saw last time.
Yeah.
Just both of them going nice and wide. This time Teddy was going first, so we'll get a chance to attack sooner and start disrupting sooner. That was the big difference last game, wasn't it? That you could see Demetris had his full board set up, and we hadn't even seen an attack yet from Teddy. This time, potentially able to start knocking out those routes before they evolve up and try and get some knockouts early on, so at that end game, it's not such a big prize difference.
Yeah, has the option to evolve first, of course, like you said, but some unfortunate draws here, I think, from Teddy, but does draw into the Mew VMAX. That is absolutely massive. He had a really awkward hand there, had to get rid of the boss, had to play the power tablet to just draw 2 cards, but was able to have the perfect draw into a Genesect V and the Mew VMAX.
Couldn't ask for a better 2 cards, really.
You really couldn't.
Well, there we go. Going to be just copying that Technoblast, and very smart, not benching that Genesect. Why might he not do that?
Well, I guess it's an easy 2 prizes for Demetris in the long game, but, you know, he was happy with the hand he had.
I think you might know about the Avery on the other side.
Oh, and the Avery, yes, that could come into play.
But I set you up there.
Yeah, you did.
I thought of the answer, and I was testing you.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of level of players we're talking about here, not benching 2 Pokemon, because Avery can be very disruptive to Mew if you overbench.
Yes.
The moment you have to discard them, you suddenly lost a lot of your draw engine, especially if you start into Psychic Leap. You lose a lot of your basic Pokemon for that Fusion Strike system. So just holding on to that Genesect, just in case the Avery comes out next turn.
Yeah, Teddy obviously comfortable with 2, but slapping down that other Genesect. So guessing the Avery isn't available in Demetris' hand. And by the way, did we forget? Demetris just passed. There's just 1 Curlier on board here. So really unfortunate start here from Demetris. And Teddy's rearing to go here. Obviously taking that knockout on the earlier turn there. But now he's able to be 2 prize cards up before Demetris even has a Gardevoir on board.
And this is what we mentioned about the start of the game is Mew VMAX's favourite place to be.
Yeah.
Set up nice and early, very simple. All you need is an evolution and an energy and you're gone. But then on the other side, Demetris has a lot to do early on to get a nice stable board state. Once you do that, you're comfortable for the rest of the game. So this is the most important time for Teddy to pressure and really take away the options for Demetris.
Oh, and bosses up the Curlier. Insult to injury here from Teddy. Bossing up Demetris' only draw support for next turn. And this is going to be absolutely huge for Teddy. Demetris is really going to have to draw out of this, taking a huge knockout there.
We said exactly that.
Yeah.
He needs to disrupt early game, and the easiest target, that refinement Curlier, is so key at this stage. And you can see just how frustrating this is for a Gardevoir player when you've got that relentless pressure coming through from UV Max.
we talk about disruption. I don't need Iono, I don't need Judge. I'm going to just knock out all your draw support Pokemon. That's absolutely fine. Teddy switching up his game plan here, going into this second game, and he's going to be hoping to make this into a game 3. Of course, if he's able to take the win here and evolves into that second VMAX, he's fully ready. Fusion Strike system drawing 3 here as well. And Demetris is going to be pretty worried going into these next turns.
I mean, there is a way to set up. You know, you got that Mirage Step Curlier that could help you really widen your board up.
Yeah.
Get a lot of draw for the next turn, but if that's not found next turn for Demetris, then this is going to be a very tough position. Opting to put the Scream Tail forward.
I think that was an Artisan.
Not ideal at this stage. Artisan, maybe has to come down here, but this is definitely going to be scraping through the matchup here.
He can find a Mew Celebrations, try and hit maybe a level ball into another Curlier. Yeah, we do see that coming down, but
panic button right now.
This is a lot to ask. This is a lot to ask from that mysterious tail.
We said all that you need to see from Gardevoir is 2-3 prize knockouts.
Yeah.
We know that's all that's required, but it takes a lot.
Oh, he had the Rake Candy in hand, sorry.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's gonna find a way to disrupt up a little bit here.
Bossing up the Genesect there. It's going to be asking whether Teddy has that retreat, but oh no, it's just a pass.
No energy to set up the Scream Tail.
No. And this does not look good
Switch
for
card
Demetris.
in hand.
Switch card already in hand there for Teddy. So still able to add that ongoing pressure. And it's now going to be 3 prize cards down going into this second game.
This is rough right here for Demetris. And with the Gardevoir EX now evolved in play, there is little opportunity to have a draw engine on board. Has to all be through the top deck and any supporter that's found.
Let me tell you, Psychic Race is only good if you have attackers available to you.
And Psychic Energy in the discard.
And Psychic Energy in the discard would certainly help as well. Demetris has a second look at his discard pile. No, you're not confused. There is no Psychic in there, unfortunately. And we see another insult to injury from Teddy. Does have the path in hands, did show it.
Maybe doesn't want to disrupt himself with it.
Maybe not, yeah.
I mean, the worst thing you can do as Mew is put a path down, your opponent disrupt your hand, and then you struggle out of it for the rest of the game.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. That's what I like to call it. The danger of playing path. But here we see the path come down.
Okay, so we'll see.
And we see a fusion.
Technoblast.
Yeah, a Technoblast here. 190 damage.
Was not looking good, is it?
Oh, and it's another switch out. And it's another pass. Can Teddy draw this? Does he have a switch option available to him? Has the Chromatic. Here we see. Was it a heads?
It's a tails.
It's a tails. Oh.
Do they have the lost vacuum to bump that stadium and potentially start drawing?
Do we see another Chromatic? We do. Let's go. It's a heads.
It's a heads there. Will they go for the switch out or will they start to draw? They can just get an energy here and retreat and just hope that another gust doesn't come through. But there is a switch cart there.
I can't see any way back for Demetrius now. No Ralts, no Curlier, no Gardevoir, no party for Demetrius.
And that's the final conclusion for a Gardevoir deck. If you run out of those Pokemon,
you're in trouble.
The aforementioned 3, you're going to be worried. And this is going to be that knockout now. And with that switch cart into the Mew VMAX, just trying to work out here if Max Miracle does it. Doesn't want to undersell the target, but Technoblast will get the knockout. So just checking to see what the optimal route is.
Yeah,
and with that part of the peak in play, there's very little that can happen.
Going to take 2 prizes here. Going to go down to 2 prize cards remaining. Mysterious Tail. Let's see if there's anything. We see a Fog Crystal.
Oh, what can you get off this Fog Crystal, though? You need
to
stabilize. There's 2 prizes.
Psychic Energy.
There's 2 prizes remaining here for Teddy.
This is rough for Demetrius, opting to retreat into the Scream Tail. But there's no options available to him. No draw supports, no supporter in hands. Did have the Radiant Greninja, so could opt to have used. Oh no, he couldn't. Path is in play. Of course.
I was waiting for you to spot it. I didn't want to jump in.
No. That's absolutely fine. We all miss Path once in a while. It's fine.
Yeah. We've all concealed cards under Path at some point.
We've all done it. And here we see Mysterious Tail. Yeah, and there's a concession there for Demetrius. I think he said there he was going to go first going into this game 3 in a winning in. Talk about crunch time, Mike.
Only 5 minutes remaining for this final game. And of course, we just saw there, Mew in the early game has the faster game plan. So there's going to be a lot to do here for Gardevoir. But then there's always that chance for the routes, Rare Candy into a Gardevoir EX, into a knockout. It is possible, but it's just so much on the line here. Has to win. A draw does not work for either of these guys.
If a donk is going to happen, it's going to be in favor of the Mew VMAX, right?
Most likely, yes.
So it's just that one evolution, that one attachment, bang, take that knockout.
But you never know.
You never know.
Start routes, Rare Candy, Gardevoir EX, 3 energy.
We've sometimes seen these terrible hands from Mew VMAX. It could happen right here, right now. But here we see, getting into our game 3, Demetrius, Eaton and Teddy. But like you said, 5 minutes remaining, and there's so much pressure here.
Both players have started Battle VIP Pass in the previous games. Will they do it here, or will it be a single basic Pokemon for either of them? This is the classic win-and-in scenario where you have a very little time for that final game. Most of the time, it will just go to a draw because you cannot finish that game, but sometimes you have that small chance of winning off of a bad setup from either player. Who's it going to be, Demetrius or Teddy, making it through, or will they end up with that draw?
A draw's not a terrible scenario for either of these players if they do. Ooh, 2 Genesect. Is there another one? No. I have had an opportunity. I have had the game where I have actually prized all 4, but something that happens quite rarely, thankfully. Here we see Teddy making a start.
Okay, so Demetrius,
that wasn't just a pass from Demetrius, was it?
No, I think he's asked him to go first there.
Okay. Interesting choice from Demi to give first to Teddy.
I guess he's thinking I'm much more likely to get set up going second, so I want to make sure I get set up knowing that I'll have the supporter available.
We have had the conversation, about this second first scenario. I would have been shouted at till the cows come home if I said I want to go second about 4 years ago, right? Because I think usually going first is always going to be the most optimal play. But at the moment, there is a conversation, going second might be better in some scenarios to have those explosive turns. I want to play a supporter before you do. I want to get set up more optimally, and especially with these big basics that you have around with Miraidon, Iron Hands, and Roaring Moon. Sometimes going second is probably the best option. But
well, I mean, 4 years ago, you could play a supporter on your first turn, so...
Oh, yeah, good point. Maybe 4 months ago then, let's say.
Yeah. Well, you can see the Forest Seal Stone. The deck has gone up in count of that. It's now up to 3 in most decks, just to try and get as many opportunities to hit the VIP pass in the first turn. If you don't get set up, you've always got it as a backup option. If not, you can bank it for later and guarantee finding things that you need in the final turns.
Yeah, it's an insurance consistency card for sure. Absolutely love that Star Alchemy ability on the Frost Seal Stone. Offers so much. Search your deck for up to 1 card. Such a powerful ability, but here we see the retreat into the Mew V with that switch card, and now Fusion Strike System active, drawing up to 4.
Well, right now, we know Teddy's going to be set up. The question is, with that Screamtail start for Demetris, what's in that hand? Is there a way to get many basics down to make a game of this?
I think I saw a lot of... I see a Zacian, I saw a Cresselia, and I think 2 Curlier. I'm very eager to see what those other 2 cards are in Demetris' hand.
I mean, it's not ideal, but it will make sure that he doesn't lose, potentially.
Yes. And, you know, we like to get into this conversation sometimes. How do I not lose a game, right? You know, especially when we come into where time comes into play, you know, going into how do I not lose? How can I effectively get a draw in this game? How do I negate my opponent's ability to take the game?
And this is a prime opportunity for that. You know, when you go into a game 3 with 5 minutes left on a win and in, you are thinking, will either of us not set up? And maybe the moment either of them see the full setup board, that'll be the time where they go, okay, this is ending here. But it's not guaranteed for Demetris. If he only gets, you know, the 3 basic down, then there could be a way. But okay, just getting the psychic energy there.
So the Zacian, I think that was a rare candy, the old Heart Gold Soul Silver rare candy, one of my favorites, and a psychic energy. There's not much happening in that hand, Mike.
No. What's it going to be? A boss into the Genesect trying to really disrupt it. That's not the ideal supporter.
And it's a pass!
Oh no, if Teddy gets a knockout here quickly, then this could be an opportunity for him to take the game.
Teddy, you have to go turbo right now and start taking these knockouts.
Just the 1 minute remaining here in round 9. Winning in Gdańsk.
If he's able to take a prize card before this minute timer is up, he does have 3 turns of taking knockouts, but giving him only 2 turns won't be enough. Oh, and he's forced to manually retreat.
Does have an energy on the benched Mew, so if he can find a Mew VMAX off the back of that, there is a way he could do it. So just going to draw in here. If the Mew VMAX comes out, that is a great position to be in.
Draws into the switch card, I believe.
I mean, it's fine. Can save it for a future turn. Does just need to find that Mew VMAX now. Needs to thin down that hand.
Can he do it? This is such a big moment in this game. Lost Vacuum. Thin out that hand. And we see another Fusion Strike System available to Teddy. This is a second. 6 seconds left on the clock.
I don't think he's going to get the knockout in time here.
Does he have it in hand? No.
Oh, they're just explaining the turns now.
Yeah. Only 2 turns remaining now for Teddy, but with that Zacian V in hand for Demetris, popping that down would effectively make this game a draw.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to put it down now, doesn't want to skip past the right passage of play, but perhaps when he puts it down next turn will be the moment they realise there's not going to be a result here.
Yeah.
Didn't want to put it down just in case when he was playing his first turn out. You know, maybe in a weird way it slowed down Teddy because he's thinking there's only 2 basics in play, and perhaps he doesn't have anything else, and that's going to be my chance to win it out. So,
of course,
1-1 here on the win and in. Both these players will get good finishes, get some points.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to get some points. A 5-1-3 record, still nothing to be ashamed of. Still such a strong record, usually ending in getting some championship points for both of these players, hopefully.
Well, we see Teddy playing out the rest of this turn. Might not even find the Mew VMAX, which is...
Still unable to find that Mew VMAX.
It was easier to find the Mew VMAX in the first game. Well, was it the first game? Yeah,
it was the first game where he only prized 2. Yeah, he only had 1 available. Drew into it naturally in that time.
Yeah, got all 3 here, and yeah, just trying to work out, you know, no more Genesect available. I think that's it. So no more Genesect available, can't draw into it, so won't actually be able to get to that Mew VMAX. Yeah,
heartbreaking for Teddy for sure. Writing was on the wall for Demetris, but yeah, with just a pass, renders this game a tie, Mike.
That's it. Those 2 players tried their best to get a result out here. It is just a slower matchup. The Mew has to go the distance. Gardevoir has a lot to do and has a slower game plan because they wait till the end to come back from behind. And so it's really hard to fit those 3 games in. But they tried their best because they knew they needed that result. And of course, it was in the end that draw there. Mu VMAX has done so well this weekend, and you can see why it does well. Just so consistent at setting up.
It would have been lovely to see a winner. Of course, we have to say that, but you know, a tie renders them 5-1-3. It's still a fantastic record at the regional championships. You know, 1 loss, 5 wins. That's still no easy feat. Hopefully, both players will be able to go home with some championship points.
1 point away from making it, so it's very close.
1 point.
Yes.
1 point. Yes, that's right. Yeah, it's so slim. The chances.
Small margins. But
yeah.
But you can see there why both decks are so good. You know, Gardevoir, loads of options as you mentioned. Great way to reset the board. And also be able to take those late game big knockouts. But on the other side, Mew, just every single time we saw it there setting up without the fusion package, so consistent at setting up. Yeah. And that's why I think we've seen a lot of success from Mew VMAX here in Gdańsk.
Just that single energy attachment for the Mew VMAX. You know, it's so massive, it's so efficient, partnering up with the disruption package of Judge and Path to the Peak. With Fusion Strike System, there's so much involved in that deck. You know, there's so much power, so much consistency. You can see why it's such a fan favorite with a lot of our players out there.
That's it. All 9 rounds have been completed here today. I hope you guys have been